On this edition of Somerville Neighborhood News, a visit to Market Basket and an interview with its manager, a candidate debate hosted by the Labor Coalition, a rally for undocumented kids' rights and a look at how local agencies are preparing for the influx of unaccompanied minors, an update on the question of whether or not the city will divest from its investments in fossil fuel companies, a visit to Ward 5 to ponder the likely rise in housing costs, and a meeting in Union Square about open space. All this on Somerville Neighborhood News.
Hello and welcome to Somerville Neighborhood News. Today is August 12th and I'm Isabella Deslandes.
And I'm Elijah Kaplan. Somerville Neighborhood News is a community service production of SCATV, put together by staff, interns, and your neighbors. We bring you the news every 2 weeks on SCATV Channel 3 and on our website, somervilleneighborhoodnews.org, where you can read, watch, and view the news.
That's right. We post the videos and we have stories written out so you can read as well as watch the segments that most interest you.
We hope you'll share our stories by sending a link or posting to Facebook.
And now, did you know that you can also listen to the news on Friday nights at 6 p.m. on Boston Free Radio, SCATV's internet radio? Yep, you can listen at bostonfreeradio.com.
We begin tonight's news with an update on the Market Basket crisis. The conflict started weeks ago when the board of directors removed Arthur T. Demoulas as CEO. Since then, thousands of workers, drivers, customers, and supporters have boycotted, demonstrated, signed petitions, liked a Facebook page, donated to a driver's fund, and demanded the reinstatement of Arthur T. The Somerville Avenue Supermarket is the number 28 in a chain of 71 stores. Normally, it's one of the top 10 stores overall for sales. It's actually number 1 by square feet, since most of the newer stores are double in size, according to store director Michael Dunleavy. But the store is nearly empty these days. Dunleavy said they used to get some 35,000 shoppers a week, about 5,000 per day. But that number was down to less than 1,000 a day last week, and the store is running at a loss. About 400 people work at Somerville's Market Basket. About 325 are part-time, according to Dunleavy. The part-timers will not get any hours next week, or probably until the conflict ends. Our reporters talked to Dunleavy on August 8th.
Well, I've been here so long, I'm nothing against Mayor Curtatone, but I'm probably the next known face in Somerville for all the people that, all the customers that shop here for so long, I've worked here since I was 15 years old. Not in this particular store, but for the company since I was 15. So I've been with them 36 years now. I love the people, the customers, and more than anything, the company I work for. It's a great company to work for. The employees are not going to work for anyone else. We're hoping to the board, giving them time to the board to come up with a resolution to get him back the way we want it, which is ultimately for him to be the running the company the way he always has. Treats the customers great, best benefits, best salaries, best pay in the industry, the supermarket industry, and that's what we're fighting for. We want customers to go somewhere else to shop right now. I hope it's over soon. I never thought it would get to this point.
The price is cheap, and it is lots of things we get over here, and it is very much useful for people around here. And I heard that when Market Basket is now in problem, many people are also in problem.
Yeah, I wanted to bring back because all the another store too expensive. The Market Basket is the good price. That is very good for the many persons. Many persons use the Market because it saves a lot of money. Yeah, that's very important. The another thing is to Market Basket and sell to many different food, different country, all the things the Market Basket has.
I was born in this city, 1943. I've seen a lot of stores come and go, and I've seen a lot of different people come and go in this city. And most of them are not the money crowd that you might find in Cambridge who don't care what the price of food is. They don't even know it. They don't look at the price tag when they buy an item. I do. That's why I come here, because I can afford the prices Market Basket charges, plus the quality of their goods are pretty good. They compete with Star Market and the other stores. And that's why we come to Market Basket, and we're all behind the workers who want this. Mr. T, I don't even know what the middle initial stands for, but I know it stands for something better than we'll get if we don't get Mr. T, and this place is sold for $2 or $3 billion.
That's really incredible that the community is able to come together in support of Arthur T like that.
It sure is. What's the latest news?
Well, as of August 11th, the board and Arthur T are going back and forth over whether or not Arthur T would be able to buy the company. We'll stay abreast with the story.
Now, an announcement. Want to dance to samba and compa music? Eat some griot and fritai? Or drink some great fresh juices? Head to Union Square on August 24th from 2 to 7 p.m. for the city's first ever Haitian Brazilian festival.
A few viewers were upset by the way we reported a rally held by Jewish Voice for Peace in downtown Boston in our previous newscast, because we did not dig deeper into the long conflict between Israel and Hamas, nor did we profile the organization that held the rally. We invite viewers to learn more about the conflict by doing their research on respected websites like the BBC, the United Nations, and other outlets. One viewer also recommended the organization and website J Street, which offers news and critical analysis. Find it at jstreet.org.
SCATV is thrilled to announce the winner of the This Is My Square raffle. Betsy Lenora of Ball Square won. She sent in the picture of the Blue Cloud Gallery. Ms. Lenora will get a dinner for two at La Brasa and 2 tickets to the Somerville Theater.
Now to our stories. Earlier this summer, the Board of Aldermen unanimously approved a resolution that calls on all governments and institutions to divest from fossil fuel companies. Will Somerville join the list of cities that have done so? Here's the story.
Alderman Rebecca Gewirtz was one of the driving backers of the resolution.
Any further discussion or debate on the resolution? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted, and now the original...
So there's been this effort that's been going on to get localities to urge divestment from these fossil fuels, and it makes a lot of sense, both morally and economically, because as we move more into a time where we're looking at green technologies and the way to reduce our collective carbon footprint, I think these fossil fuel companies are going to end up being worthless.
The movement to divest from companies that are involved in coal, oil, or natural gas has been growing across the country. So far, 28 cities, 13 universities, and 41 religious institutions have pledged to pull their investments. Hundreds of other organizations and governments at the state and local level are considering following suit. Because of the resolution, the Somerville Retirement Board, which manages just under $230 million, is looking at the issue.
Meeting is closed. Meeting of the Somerville Contributor Retirement System is open, noting a quorum.
On August 6th, the board issued a statement saying it was considering the question with caution and diligence. But diligence takes time.
The question of whether it is prudent to divest from fossil fuel companies can only be answered through diligent research, weighing the possible gains for the environment and those vested in the retirement system against the potential losses and risk for members and retirees. The Retirement Board is also watching the outcome of House Bill number 4354, which would establish a state commission that would evaluate the pros and cons of divesting from fossil fuel companies.
But the state legislature did not approve the establishment of that commission before its session ended. And so, for now, the ball is back in the Retirement Board's court. According to Gerwitz, the aldermen have done all they can do.
The Retirement Board makes decisions based on the information that they have available to them, and I don't have any comment on the retirement board's actions one way or the other. What I can speak to is the Board of Aldermen's preference, which is was stated, I think, loudly and clearly that fossil fuels are a problem. They're a growing problem and concern. The earth is getting hotter and hotter. I worry about the future for the next generation and what it's going to be like to be able to live on this planet. In addition to all the economic consequences if we don't slow this thing down.
Of the 28 cities that have pledged to divest from fossil fuels, 8 are in Massachusetts. Will Somerville be number 9? We'll keep you updated. Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Elijah Kaplan.
So what do you think will happen?
Well, the board's not going to move on the issue until they hear back from their 6 investment managers on the issue. Next, we take a look at the issue of unaccompanied minors arriving on the U.S.-Mexican border. Some of them end up here in Somerville. On July 30th, Margaret Tague attended a meeting in Chelsea with representatives of some of the city's agencies who work with the child migrants.
More than 100 people, many from school systems and agencies, gathered to discuss how to best support the migrant children coming into the greater Boston area. Children who cross the border alone are known as unaccompanied minors. So far in fiscal year 2014, more than 57,000 children arrived in the U.S., double the number in fiscal year 2013.
Hi, my name is Emily Lowenberg. I'm just wondering what happens to the kids who come over and they have family here, but the family is undocumented.
Most children are hosted by a sponsor family, who is often related to the child.
Everyone should know that as long as the family who wants to be the sponsor, who's trying to reunite with the child, has no criminal history, should be fine. So if they're undocumented, the majority of my kids' sponsors' parents are undocumented, that's fine, no big deal.
Somerville is home to at least 70 unaccompanied minors. In recent months, about 3 to 5 children have been arriving each week, according to local health care providers. Representatives of several Somerville agencies were present.
This has been happening for many years. However, the amount of kids now has sparked an interest in a lot of communities. Were caught by surprise. So we'll have strategic ways of welcoming these children, making sure they are registered in school, make sure they are vaccinated, that they get their medical health insurance, and they get the services that they deserve. One of the biggest issues at this moment is finding legal representation for all these children, because when they need to show up in court, they all have a court date if they were caught, and they'll go to court. However, in future court meetings, they will need legal representation. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who are charging a lot of money, and it's not the case for these families. They really cannot afford.
Somerville is affected because we're really a community. We're a diverse community, and we do have adults that are undocumented living in our city. We have a lot of people in general, so it affects us because it's the heart of who we are. It's the heart of what Somerville has been for at least the last 20 years. At the end of the day, I think we're all family. Me being a Christian person, I will say, we always talk about being, helping the least of these. We're supposed to stand up for injustices. And so I think, as Christians, we need to think about that as well. What is our role in this?
Officials estimate that another 30,000 children could arrive at the Mexican border by the end of this fiscal year. How many will come to Somerville, and will the Somerville public school system, health clinics, and agencies be able to support them? Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Margaret Tague.
The following week, on August 7th, hundreds of supporters of immigrants, and especially of undocumented, unaccompanied minors, went to a rally in downtown Boston. Our reporters met up with a contingent from Somerville.
This is a pro-migrant rally, specifically to sort of give light and shed light on the child migrant crisis that is currently occurring and has been occurring for decades at a time. I specifically migrated to the United States when I was 6 years old from Colombia, and at that point in time my country was a country that was completely torn up and it was a war zone. So I myself sympathize with what's going on with migrant children right now, and as a person who existed as an undocumented human being in this country, this is obviously something that is very near and dear to my heart.
As an immigrant myself, that has had the fortune of having an incredible educational opportunities, and I am a legal immigrant in this country with all what that entails. I want other people to have the same opportunities and to really leave America as a dream it is instead of a nightmare.
And then we're all going to be there to chant, to tell the world why we're here today and why we need the government to pass administrative relief and stop deportations for once and for all.
Eu quero estar solidária a essas crianças e também a nós, todos nós que estamos aqui, todos nós outros que somos imigrantes e não estamos documentados aqui neste país. E nós precisamos de um documento. Necessitamos um documento para trabalhar, para nós outros estudarmos, nossas crianças estudarem. Algumas das pessoas apoiam, mas eu creio que muitas das pessoas não apoiam essas crianças que vêm para cá. E nós outros temos que apoiar porque o país deles estão muito inseguros no país deles. Então eles precisam muito apoio nossos acá.
We need a solution. What that solution is right now, in my opinion, it's not necessarily immigration reform, because as it's planted right now, it's criminalizing our community more and it's dehumanizing our people. So there needs to be something else, but our lives matter.
As the child of immigrants, I really hope we can figure out this tragic situation out.
I think we certainly need to look at the reasons behind why they're coming here. Now let's go to the Somerville Journal.
Hello, this week in the Somerville Journal, we'll be checking out efforts to remediate the brownfields at the Kylie Barrel site. We'll be covering the Ignite Festival in Union Square, and we'll be looking at bike thefts across the city. You can always check us out online at wickedlocal.com/Somerville and on Twitter @VilleJournal. And you can get in touch with me at 617-629-3385 or datkinson@wickedlocal.com.
With the Green Line coming into Somerville, rents and real estate values are going up, and there's a lot of talk about gentrification. Somerville is not alone. On July 29th, the National Association of Black Journalists hosted a town hall meeting about development and displacement in Boston. Our reporters went to see what people were saying and to see what could be learned for Somerville.
And we want to welcome you tonight to Roxbury's historic...
On July 29th, the forum brought Bostonians and housing experts together for discussions at Hibernian Hall in Roxbury.
Gentrification is the movement of higher income, smaller households in places that have been economically distressed.
Tufts Professor James Jennings said the forum topics are not applicable to Boston only.
I think what the Green Line extension means to me and what I take out of today's forum is that residents have to be aware of how real estate is going to go up. Residents have to know exactly who's responsible for what level of decision making and how can they as residents impact decision making before it's made, in a sense.
Some, like Alderman Mark Niedergang, are getting involved.
Down here, there's going to be a subway station. Supposedly in 2019, but they keep on pushing the date back, so who knows when it will really be built, but I do believe it will be built within the next 10 years. So it'll be a subway stop right here, and of course that'll bring tons and tons of people into this neighborhood.
Niedergang represents an area less than 1 square mile near the future Lowell Street station.
Somerville is terribly underserved by public transportation, especially by subway lines. So this will now, the Green Line will create half a dozen new subway stops in Somerville through the heart of the city and give us the kind of public transportation that we deserve.
But the Green Line extension will also bring other changes to Somerville.
My concerns are that property around the Green Line stations will increase tremendously in value, and people will be displaced. Rents will go up, housing prices will go up. Low and middle income people will find it much harder to stay here in Somerville.
A recent study determined that rents could go up as much as 67%. Since 2/3 of the cities are renters, the rent hike could have major impact.
What I love about this community is that it's a mixed income community. It's very diverse ethnically, and it's got people who do all different kinds of jobs. I'm concerned that if housing prices go up throughout the city, only professional people and wealthy people will be able to live here, and it will become a very, very different community.
In Somerville, the households earning the least live along the corridor of the future Green Line, where rents are currently the lowest, the blue and tan areas. In comparison, rents around the red and orange line stations, the red areas, are the highest in the city.
And this is Maxwell's Green, a new development of 200 units that was built about 5 years ago. Apartments are renting for extremely high prices for this area, but they're full, and so this is, you know, the change that are taking place is very upscale housing that most people who live in this area couldn't afford.
I mean, we're already seeing some of the, the garages here. There's one right across the street that's been taken down, and condos are going up. And I'm sure housing prices will go up as well. My husband and I are interested in kind of making sure the zoning laws work to keep Somerville from getting even more dense than it already is.
Nobody wants to move into an apartment and say, you know what, I would really like the housing in this to go up in 4 years. That is not very cool, but at the same time, I'm really excited that there's going to be more transportation here.
A lot of people drive already, and in the wintertime, a lot of people don't want to take the subway. So I don't really think that there's too much of a really big need for it.
Gentrification and rising housing costs can be counteracted. Cities or developers can construct more affordable housing or take other measures. Eventually, it comes down to what local authorities and the residents demand of those building housing along the Green Line extension. Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Shu-Qing Zhao.
As great as an extension for the Green Line will be for Somerville and its environmental policies, it's too bad that the rents are being raised so high.
It is a dilemma. On July 30th, the Somerville Labor Coalition organized a debate among 4 of the candidates running for the state's 34th Middlesex district right here at SCATV. A total of 6 candidates are running for the seat formerly held by Carl Sciortino.
Three Democrats and 1 independent fielded questions from the coalition, which groups together about 600 city employees. The candidates are vying to fill a seat that represents part of Medford and part of Somerville. They all said they were pleased to participate, especially because of who organized the event and because of where it was held.
These are the people that serve the residents of Somerville and devote their life and time for us. And anything that they would invite me to, I would make sure I'm at.
It's very important to connect with the voters of the 34th Middlesex District through a medium that is critical for our democracy, cable access television. And I'm here tonight because the Somerville Labor Coalition is so important to collective bargaining and the right for municipal and state employees to enter into a meaningful contract to make sure that their laborers were rewarded.
Staff and volunteers collaborated on the 45-minute debate. Joe Lynch, co-host of Greater Somerville, asked questions supplied by the coalition.
Should the occasion arise, would you call employers and ask them to stop their efforts to defeat their employees' effort to organize unions?
All the candidates said they supported unions, and they agreed on almost every response.
I'm here talking to the Somerville Labor Coalition tonight because I feel that they're an embodiment of a lot of people that live in this district.
I'm really glad that the Somerville Labor Coalition had an event tonight. I'm always happy to come out to forums and talk to as many voters as I can.
We're constantly under attack under our pensions, our wages, our benefits, and we need to do something to organize, to get together so we can combat it. And having these candidate forums is a great way to do it, because if we can find a friend of labor, that people that espouse the same kind of values as we do, then we know that would be the person that we would want to endorse.
We want to be included in the development in the city of Union Square and Union United. That's one of the things that we really have dove into.
Representative can help add local aid to the communities, and that's very, very important. Also, when moving forward to get different federal assistance through grants, it's very, very important with the expansion that we have right now, Assembly Square, the Boynton Yards, Brick Bottom, Davis Square, Union Square. Tremendous amount of expansion. We're going to have, I don't know, they're only estimating the population may increase by more than 50%. That means we're going to need more schools, we're going to need more DPW workers, we're going to need more firefighters, we're going to need more police. You know, when you have that kind of expansion, you have to expand the city and the municipality itself, otherwise you're destined to fail.
The candidates' debate is an example of the dozens of community programs produced by staff and volunteers here at SCATV in Union Square. You can watch them on Channel 3 and also online. If you want to get involved, give us a call or stop by the old firehouse. Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Jane Regan, and don't forget to vote on September 9th.
And who did the coalition end up endorsing?
They'll announce their picks soon. You can watch the entire debate on Channel 3, check our listings, or online. Here's the link, bit.ly/SCATTV debate.
Next, on July 31st, Union Square Main Streets and Union Square Neighbors hosted the second of 3 meetings called The Space in Between. The objective of the meetings was to bring the residents and experts together to discuss the use of public space in the square as plans for the redevelopment advance. Ji-Hong Lee brings us the story.
Let's make Union Square redevelopment reflect the art that you guys are so proud of. Let's do that. They did this in Miami, thousands of these. Block after block after block, and not just in a line, in every direction.
Jason Turgeon was one of 4 guests who spoke to over 24 people interested in the public space in the new Union Square.
We could do that now. You could just go down, is it Columbia Street back here, the little street with the sheet metal? That could just be murals now. You don't have to wait for them to tear it down. We could have art of this caliber. You have the artists, you have the desire, you have the people. Make Union Square look like this when you're done with it.
Shulai Talon of Union Square Neighbors is hopeful the space in between meetings will influence plans for the neighborhood.
My expectation is, well, I hope that this just becomes an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. The fear would be that we lose the sort of creative spirit.
Participants broke into groups to discuss their visions for public space.
Well, let's put a thing here, and we'll have a fire pit there, and we'll have whatever here, and then we'll have a painting that no one's going to look at behind it. And that's, yeah, it's very much like they want it to be pre-programmed.
There was a lot of conversation about action. What can we do now? What can happen after these series? What are these outcomes?
At the end of the evening, people were optimistic about possibilities for the new Union Square.
My hope is generally in Somerville for us to become a little bit more live-work balanced. Somerville is the most imbalanced community in Massachusetts with regard to the shortage of jobs relative to people who live here. And I just think if we can move a little bit more toward a live-work balance where there's people here during the day, Monday through Friday, they go to the coffee shops, to the little restaurants, as not just on the weekends, not just the farmer's market on Saturday, but it becomes more of a 24/7 community.
We've lived in Union Square for 30 years. We moved here for the convenient location. Immediately discovered what a great, unique place it was. So my hope is to keep that uniqueness. Was concerned when I heard one developer developing the whole place at once. Makes it sound like very manufactured, very synthetic. And this, all the art that has grown organically and evolved organically over years is hard to keep it unique by just plopping it in with a new development.
The space in between gatherings are just a few of many meetings that will discuss Union Square's future. Will developers and City Hall pay attention to people's hopes and dreams? We'll be watching. For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Jihan Li.
All 3 meetings were videotaped. You can find them on the website unionsquareneighbors.com. Did you know that between 6 and 8 million cats and dogs wind up in shelters every year in this country, and more than half of them end up being euthanized? A Boston-based group called the Last Hope Canine Rescue is working to lower those numbers. Reporter Sharon Johnson visited their tent at the Somerville Pet Palooza on August 2nd. She learned what makes rescue dogs and all dogs so special to so many people.
Like he still had a pretty good...
We are Last Hope Canine Rescue. We are out of Boston. We are completely foster run. We don't have a shelter. And we're all also volunteer run. Everything we do is all volunteer. No one gets paid. So all the donations we get and all the fundraising we do goes all to the dogs.
What's your dog's name?
This is Susie. Susie's a happy little Westie. I rescued about 4.5 years ago. I rescued her when she was 9, so she's going to be 14. And she came with the coat.
So Coco is about 3 years old, and Yoko's about 2. They're both rescue dogs. We got Coco when we were living in Washington, D.C., and then Yoko when we moved here.
Well, this is Kusa. She comes from Arkansas. She had a litter of puppies when she was there, and they put her in the shelter, I think just because they couldn't take care of her anymore. And I'm not sure how we picked her up, but we did, and I'm very glad we did.
I spent a lot of time with her, and she makes me very happy.
Yes, they're surrogate children. That's exactly right.
When you think about all the dogs that go into shelters and they're put down simply because there isn't enough space for them, it's awful. You know, I think every animal deserves a chance at knowing what love is and knowing what a home is and feeling like they're part of a pack and part of a family. And I think that's why we do what we do, and that's why it's so important.
Well, that's all for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in 1 month on September 9th, which is also Election Day.
But don't just tune in every 2 weeks. Check us out online at somervilleneighborhoodnews.org or go to our Facebook page, SCATV SNN, and share your favorite segment.
Or tweet us at SCATV SNN. We welcome you to get involved in Somerville Neighborhood News.
What's happening on your block? Who's your neighborhood hero? What issues aren't being covered?
Become a reporter or just send us your ideas. Call us at 617-628-8826 or write to news@scatvsomerville.org. I'm Elijah Kaplan.
And I'm Isabella Deslundis. See you around the neighborhood, and don't forget to vote.